Audiobook Academy. Book Summary. The Sorrows of Young Werther. By Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. One of the most read books in the history of the world is The Sorrows of Young Werther, a Sturm-und-Drang tale from Germany. It is an epistolary novel made up of two halves of letters. The letters are from Werther to Wilhelm, a buddy he turns to for assistance. We have the idea that we are reading a diary because the majority of the book is made up of Werther's letters, and we can predict Wilhelm's responses from Werther's letters. Wilhelm tries to reason with Werther constantly, but he is easily distracted by his emotions and mood swings. All but two of the letters were written on May 4, 1771, and December 2, 1772, and are addressed to Lotta and Albert, respectively. The publisher's addendum, which is written in the third person because the editor didn't think Werther merited attention because he wasn't an average guy, is written in the first person. The book explores the religion of a character who feels alienated from society, is in an unhappy relationship, and sees the traditional romantic retreat as their only way out. The novel is parallel in composition, separated into two sections, and contains the following: departure, meeting Lotta, falling in love, experiencing an emotional breakdown, and fleeing due to the intense feelings. Arrival, another contact with Lotta, uncontrollable love, emotional sobriety, guns, and an emotional exhaustion-driven escape. Synopsis. The publisher addresses the readers at the outset by explaining how he compiled all of the information about the life of poor Werther and how he is confident they will be appreciative of him. The youthful Werther is still unsure about his career goals. He claims to have unfinished business involving his mother's fortune when he travels to the city W. He arrived in a city of great beauty, which had an impact on the growth of his artistic abilities. He wins the hearts of the populace because of his friendly and straightforward nature. Werther meets Lotta at a ball he is invited to one day. She looks after her 8 siblings after her mother passed away and is the daughter of the seigneury's estate administrator. She catches Werther's attention right away because of her inner beauty. Werther fell in love with her despite the fact that he was aware of her engagement to Albert. A storm breaks out during the ball, and the two of them spend the rest of the night staring up at the sky while contemplating one another. Moreover, a poem by Friedrich Gottlieb connects them. Lotta and Werther start spending a lot of time together after that one night. The three of them enjoyed one another's company and the town's natural splendors for several days after Albert returned from his trip. In the process of realizing he will never be with Lotta, Werther begins to question her love. Because he has the fortitude to put up with Werther's display of sympathy for Lotta, Albert is a lovely and nice man. As his affection for her grows, he no longer considers friendship to be sufficient. He begins to believe that Lotta's love caused his illness. Werther was given a copy of Homer for his birthday, with a red ribbon from Lotta's outfit from the night they first met. Each day, his passion for Lotta grows deeper. He departed and took a secretary job in another city because he didn't want to interfere with the tranquility of the engaged pair. He worked there for a while, but the extreme pettiness of his supervisor killed what little motivation he had for a job that had never even been intriguing to him. Because he couldn't associate himself with the nobility or high society, he felt like he didn't belong anywhere. Nobody gave a thought to his creative soul. He was saddened by the upper society's treatment of him as a commoner because he was stranded there. He gives up his joy because they made it very plain that he was undesired. He resumes employment but is unable to handle the work, so he leaves. His passion for Lotta, who had married Albert in the meanwhile, became greater as a result of his failed attempt to find employment. He was dissatisfied with his job and was unable to control his feelings for Lotta. He returned to the city W, and now his situation is intolerable. Werther experiences frustration and misery. He couldn't conceal the disgust he felt for Albert or the idea that Lotta wasn't content with him. Lotta was asked to spend less time with Albert once Albert recognized his devotion. Even she became aware that his emotions weren't regular. While she gets ready for Christmas, she begged Werther not to come see her for a few days. Lotta wants to get away of the disputes that Werther frequently has with those around him but is unsure of how to do it. He considers suicide and makes the decision to prepare for it. He visits Lotta before Christmas despite wanting to end his life. His emotions overcame him as he read to her. Lotta was given a hug and kiss. Both of them were overexcited, but Lotta pulled herself together and told Werther not to appear in front of her ever again. Her remarks encourage him to commit suicide. In a letter to Albert, Werther requests a loan of his firearms because he is going on vacation. Although Lotta suspected what he was up to, she took no action. The rifle that was given to Werther was last handled by her. Werther killed himself the same evening after penning a letter. The following morning, he was discovered wearing a suit that made him think of the day he first saw Lotta. He had Emilia Galotti's open book next to him. His passing brought sorrow, and he was laid to rest where he desired, between two linden trees at the far end of the cemetery. There was no priest present for the funeral, but Lotta's family was there. Werther, the main character. He represented the discontent with society and institutions at the time this book was written. He suffered daily and was unhappy with his lot in life. Werther used nature as his getaway because he found solace there. He had a good rapport with the inhabitants and commoners who made up his character. He never was able to get used to aristocracy. Before he met Lotta, happiness, a promising future, and everything else were synonymous with her. We can infer that he had his head in the clouds because he didn't take into account the fact that she was engaged. He became so consumed by love for Lotta that he was unable to function or think clearly. Albert rebutted his arguments as he began to consider suicide, which strengthened his desire to do so. Lotta believes that getting married is his only chance to overcome the emotions that have overcome him. He attempted to justify himself to God while taking his own life despite being a devout man. Werther was employed by the author as a social commentary. Lotta, she loved people, children, literature, and she was very much like Werther. She had a difficult existence because she lost her mother when she was young. Yet despite everything, she found joy in the smallest of things. She was extremely sensitive, but unlike Werther, she was able to control her feelings. She fell in love with Werther as soon as she met him. She had lovely virtues, and Werther saw an angel in her. Despite being deeply in love, she was conscious of her obligations to her family and Albert. When she saw Werther was falling for her, she sought to drive him away to lessen his pain because she followed the norms and social convention. She advised him not to contact her ever again after he confessed his love because she didn't want to jeopardize her standing in society. She gave herself the punishment of suffering and death together with him. Albert, the complete opposite of Werther. He had a good mind and an education. Albert was a perfectly trustworthy individual who could guarantee someone's safety. Despite the fact that he was invented by the author to represent Werther's resistance, he wasn't painted as a bad guy. Even though Werther perceived him as a rival, he wasn't one at all since he had the right to court Lotta before Werther even met her. He never expressed his feelings for Lotta, but it was clear from his acts that he would always respect and love her. Despite the fact that he was aware of Werther's feelings for Lotta, they were close friends. German author and statesman Johann Wolfgang von Goethe lived in Germany. Goethe, who was born in Frankfurt in 1749, produced a large body of work, including approximately 3,000 drawings, over 10,000 letters, and 4 novels in addition to his poetry. Goethe was a passionate anatomist, botanist, and former law student. His debut work was a success, and in 1782 he was elevated to the noble rank. Goethe served on the Duke's Privy Council during his lifetime and was in charge of restarting the silver mines in Ilmenau as well as various administrative changes at the adjacent University of Jena. One of the giants of German literature was Goethe. He shone his prolific virtuosity throughout a long and complete life in a variety of settings. Goethe created abstract art and established a creative standard that influenced his contemporaries across Europe and is still used as a benchmark today. He occupies a status in German writing that is comparable to Shakespeare's in most English-speaking countries. Goethe married Christiane Vulpius in 1806, after having a year-long relationship with her and having a son together. The Sorrows of Young Werther is an autobiographical novel. Götz von Berlichingen is a tragedy based on the life story of the poet Gottfried. Faust is a play about a scholar who strikes a deal with the devil to experience immortality and life's greatest pleasures, and these are just a few of Goethe's most significant works. Goethe was a highly regarded and significant author in German literature by the time he passed away in 1832 from heart failure. His plays and books had a significant influence on German writers of the day and still do. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.